Hi. Hey, hi, hello. How's everyone doing today or tonight? Whatever it is, wherever you are. So I figured it's been a minute since you've seen this crusty, dusty mug. So I wanted to do kind of a fun video on just monomers and like my kind of ratios on things. So that's what we're gonna do today. So I do have some things I want to do or explain, I guess, with low odor or odorless monomers and regular monomers. So that's what we are gonna do today. All right, guys. So first, let me show you what we are working with here. So I do have a couple different EMA monomers. That's what I work with. That's what I prefer. But I do have this one, which I picked up in one of my hauls. I love Mia, great brand. I've used quite a few of their things. So this is the odorless we're going to be working with. And then I do have a couple different just regular EMA monomers here. This one's Young Nails. Need to put some more in here, but this one's NDS, which is probably my all-time favorite monomer. And I believe that they are either going out of business or not going to be making things anymore. So I'm treating this one like gold and trying to find one that I like as much as these two that can kind of fill the space of this one. I did within the last few months, I've started using this STG one, and it is good from what I've tried. And then I just pulled out a bunch of different acrylics here. So I have some Adreas, I have some chiseled, I have some D&D, I have some of Breeze. I picked out some dark colors because they're easier to see with, oh, that one's got glitter, but some browns and some reds. They're easier to see, like the powder soaking up the monomer. So, and then I'm going to be using two different Daffin dishes. I want to time them both so that you can see the difference. There are quite a few key differences in working with an odorless and a regular EMA monomer, which is why I wanted to do this. So those of you who can't stand the smell of monomer, I'm a weirdo and absolutely love the smell of it. I prefer the smell of it. I would, if you develop a love for acrylic, it's absolutely worth checking this out, like an odorless or extreme low odor monomer. So I'm going to be using a couple different brushes also. So first, let's talk about the key differences. Okay, so I'm just going to hold these here because they're both in the same bottles. But so the first, we'll go over odorless first. So odorless is obviously, it's odorless as far as the kind of the idea of it not smelling like monomer. It does have a smell to it, and it's kind of almost like well, not like pine needles, but something along those lines like that. So it is something I dislike the smell of odorless monomer, and it's again, it's got different initiators and inhibitors and just different chemicals that bond them together in it. And the other key thing about odorless is the working time. So this is a slow setting monomer right here. So slow setting in the means of that this will start setting or hardening, polymerizing. Well, it starts polymerizing instantly, but hardening, we'll just say hardening, within, it's like 5 to 7 minutes, I believe, where this one, usually like a regular EMA monomer, will start hardening or setting, depending on temperature, like 1 to 3 minutes. So you have almost double the working time, which some people love that about odorless and some people hate that about odorless. So you will need less odorless monomer than you would a regular monomer. So keep that in mind too. If you're starting out with an odorless, it's going to be different when you're transitioning to a regular EMA monomer. So keep that in mind also. So let's go over a few things about this. When you use it, or if you have used it, you might think you're doing something wrong. So both of these have an exothermic chemical reaction, which is pretty cool. And what that means is as those chemicals are forming and bonding together, they make chains, right? So those polymerization chains actually produce heat. So if you've ever like had your nails done, like acrylic nails done, or done them on somebody else, and you've felt warmth or heat, it's normal. That is absolutely normal. And it's that exothermic chemical reaction happening. So pretty cool. And you've felt warmth or heat, it's normal. That is absolutely normal. And it's that exothermic chemical reaction happening. So pretty cool to know. And then the other key thing to remember with this is all odorless or extreme low odor monomers have an inhibition layer. So what that is, kind of the same thing as like your gel products. So gel polishes, tacky top coats, hard gels, they all have an inhibition layer. And what that is so when the chemicals meet together and oxygen hits it, the oxygen actually stops the process from happening. So that inhibition layer is actually a layer of uncured product or acrylic or whatever it is that you're working with. And that's what it is it's protecting those layers underneath that initial layer. So it's unprocessed, uncured, unpolymerized product on top of it. So just like with a gel polish, you will slough it off, or you can wipe it off. You can use rubbing alcohol, you can use acetone. There's a bunch of different ways, and I'll kind of go over that with it. So those are kind of the big differences that I wanted to mention with this. With regular EMA monomer, it is much, in my opinion, much simpler to work with if you can handle the smell. Also, the evaporation is kind of is part of what causes the smell. Okay, so you have in EMA monomer, I want to say it's, what is it, thioacetone or thioacetone. I'm not sure which one is the correct way to say it, and some people say it's the smelliest substance on earth. So just think about it that way. That is one of the main ingredients in regular monomers or EMA monomers. So I'm linking, also another thing to keep in mind with this, so since it does have that inhibition layer, it does carry a slightly higher risk of allergies or reactions, because it's uncured product, so if you are wiping it and you get it all over your finger, just be mindful, like with anything else. So another thing to keep in mind with that too. So, all right, let's go ahead. Let me get this all set up, and I'll get my brushes out, and I'll show you we'll go small, medium, and large beads and how I do those in both, and we'll time them so you can see. And then I've got beautiful Angela who's been over here saying hi to you guys. I got some tips on her, and so she's going to be my lovely assistant today. So we'll use her in a few minutes, but right now let me get this set up and then I will be back. All right, guys, so let me show you the brushes that I'm using real quick, just for reference. So we have our EX beautiful brush here. My amazing bestie PJ Sick Tips sent me this, probably my absolute favorite brush that I have. And then I have, of course, my beautiful favorite affordable Kolinsky brush here, which is Shine Chance. It's got rosewood handle. This is a size 10. And then I did take out my Chon Legend 14, which this is a big brush. This is a big boy. So it depends on like what I'm trying to do. If I'm doing like length on a nail, I will pull out a big brush so that I can do less beads. But typically a 10 or a 12 is like my sweet spot. Okay, so, and then I want to show you a couple of differences. Let's do these two. Okay, a couple of differences between these brushes. Okay, so this one is not crimped. I won't crimp it because it holds its shape beautifully. I don't need to crimp it to fan it out. This one I did crimp, and I crimped it a little harder than I wanted to, which is my fault. But so these two brushes, you can see the size difference, right? But if I turn them this way, okay, do you see the body on this brush compared to the body on this brush? Which the body, when I say the body of a brush, it's from the ferrule to probably 3/4 of the way up the bristles, okay? So you see how wide that is? And then see how wide it is on this one? Oh, look at the difference. Okay, this is a bigger brush. This one is going to hold more monomer because the body of it is wider, so that it's going to hold on to more monomer. So keep that in mind. Always kind of pay attention to like these ones. I love these ones because they are small, and once this one's brand new, that's why the bristles are like that. But like once it's wet and everything's kind of shaped together, I'll probably take this bristle off. But once it is all in shape, it will be nice and flat. So I can get really pretty, really nice, just kind of medium-sized beads with this brush. I absolutely love these brushes. These are probably my second favorite brushes to use. I'm always reaching for these ones. This one, okay, so this one is an expensive brush. This just goes to show, like, this is probably the least favorite brush that I have. And I love John Legend products. I love them. But these bristles stick in everything. So I really rarely use this unless I'm building length, because this is one of the two bigger brushes that I have. So I just wanted to show that difference. I'll show you these two once this one's nice and wet. These are the two I'm going to be using. I'll still be able to get big beads with both of these also. So I want to start out just kind of by talking about temperature first, because temperature does matter when you're working with acrylic. So we'll say with an odorless monomer, because it's already setting or slow setting, if it's cold in like your room or wherever you're doing this at, it will set even slower. Same with this, an EMA monomer. Most of them, unless it says are medium setting monomers. So you'll have working time, but not nearly as much as this. So if you want it to slow down, then you would cool it down. So you like if it's really hot, I will put my monomer in the refrigerator, my regular EMA monomer in the refrigerator to cool it down, so that the evaporation happens slower. So the evaporation is part of what causes the setting. So and then if you want to speed this one up, you can take your dapping dish or whatever and put it on like a little cup warmer. I think I have one. Show you. Little cup warmer, just like this. Okay. And you can warm it as you're using it. And that will help with both the speed of it and the inhibition layer. So you'll still have an inhibition layer, but it'll be a lot less than if you were doing it at room temperature. Right now, just to give reference, my room is probably about, 63-ish degrees in here, so relatively normal. So I want to time both of these so you can see. So we're going to start out with the low odor, or the odorless, sorry. So let me get my stopwatch out here. So first I want to go over like my ratios. So I think we'll do red with the regular, and we'll do brown with the odorless. So I'm going to put a little bit of this. What do I do with my puppet? We'll use pink for odorless. Oh, there's that smell. And then you can see here, let me show you this also. So you can see the color, right? It is way more clear than like a regular monomer is. And I don't need a whole lot of this. Or sorry, not a regular monomer, but an EMA monomer. So that is something else that's kind of noticeable, but it does have a smell. It is, like I said, far less. There it is. Ugh. Far less than an EMA monomer, obviously. But don't go into it thinking it's completely like there's no smell to it, because there is. So let's go ahead and do this. I have a certain way that I like my setup. Oh, whoop, looks like I left some in there. Get that out. All right, so I'm gonna use this one here. So what I always do anytime that I'm, whether it's a newer brush or a brush I've used, I always fan it out on the bottom of my brush. So if you can see there, all those little air bubbles coming up out of that, you want to get your air bubbles out, because those will stay in your powder, in your polymer, and create air bubbles in there too. So I don't ever go like real hard. I'm not like pushing down real hard. I'm just kind of barely fanning it side to side. You can see all those little tiny air bubbles coming up out of there. Oh, and I try and do it both sides, okay? So like I said, with the Odorless, you're going to need a lot less monomer than you would a regular EMA monomer. Well, let me just show you this so you can see the body on this compared to the body on this one. So you see this one's even thinner. It's thinner like the Chan Legend one is. Oh, and I could get this one, the body of it, to be thinner if I crimped this, but I don't want to crimp it. I like it how it is. So beautiful. Look at the shape on that. Beautiful. Nice shape to it. So let me first show you what it's like if you have too much monomer in your brush. Okay, so if I were just to go in here and dip this and push it down, right, and just barely kind of wipe it off, this for me is exactly how I like to work with EMA monomer. I cannot do the same with a odorless monomer. So if I were to go in just like this, okay, and I go like this and I dip and hold, right? Let's see if it's gonna do it. See, this is really good acrylic. So hold on, let me try that again. So just like that, again, really wet. And I'm gonna hold it for a little less. Okay, so like this. Okay, that's too wet. So if I were to put that, actually, and let me get we'll do it on a swatch stick real quick. Here's a swatch stick. Okay. So again, if I just leave my brush that wet with odorless and then go like this, if I were to put this on a nail, drop it, you can see it's gonna run. It's already starting to run, and I don't want that. I really don't want that. I want it to stay in place until I'm touching it. And also this is gonna stick horribly to your brush. So like I don't know if I'll be able to, like, you see that right there? How if I touch it, it comes off on my brush. You don't want that. You want it to release from your brush on its own. So you see, can you see how there's product stuck into the bristles of my brush? I do not want that. So, and then on the opposite, so if I have too little of monomer in my brush, let me just wipe this off real quick. Okay, so if I have too little, so if I take and dip it down in there and then literally wipe as much as I can off of this and go in there. First of all, you'll see like it really won't pick up much, but you can see how that kind of looks dry when I go to release. So see, when I go to release it on the brush, it's gonna, half of it's gonna stay on my brush, and then the other part's it's gonna weasel its way into the bristles, between the bristles of my brush. So don't want that either. So let me get this dirty towel out of the way because it's gonna really freaking bother me. Get a different one, just so I can show you kind of my ratio, if I can explain it properly, or explain it to where you can understand it anyway. So what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm gonna put my brush in there, get all the air bubbles out. And then, so let's start with we'll start with a small bead. So the small bead, what I'm gonna do, I know, so how some people do it is, sort of for small, they take right below the ferrule and touch that area to the edge of their dappen dish. So like this, right? And then I bring it up and you can see that monomer releasing. So that would be a small one. So that's a beautiful bead. And then with this, you'll be able to see it. It'll start kind of glossing over. So it takes a lot longer. So if I hold this upside down like that, because the monomer is going to run into the bead, and then flip it over. See, still not. It might be a little bit too cold. No, not. Well, so small bead. And then for a medium bead, is you would take and dip. I always kind of fan mine out to get air bubbles out every time I put it in there. Whether I'm just re-wetting my brush or anything like that. One second. Hold on. So, okay, sorry about that. So whether I'm re-wetting my brush or actually picking up a bead, I always push down to get the air bubbles out of my brush. So if I'm doing a medium bead, I would take and I'd let the excess drip out, right? And then I would take from halfway, the halfway point, and touch that point to the middle of my dappen dish, and then pull. And then what's left in there is gonna be your medium bead. And so for a medium bead, I touch twice. So I go 1, 2, and that would be my medium bead right there. So with this, I would want to let it polymerize for a little bit before I just go on there, but I'm really not too worried about it right now. So those look the same, but it's spread out a little bit. And then for a big bead, what I would do is take and touch it down, and then take and just barely just go boop like that. And so all of that monomer that's left in that brush is going to give me a big bead. And then I tap 3 times, but I always count like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So on every Mississippi, I touch it down. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So that's going to be a large bead. And once you get like really, really comfortable with it, and you know like what works for you and what way you like, all of it'll be a little bit different for you. So let's go ahead and, oopsie, not even close. Let me show you if I were to run this exactly how I would run like a regular EMA monomer. the difference between it. So I like to run my regular EMA beads very wet. That's just my preference. So what I would do is I wouldn't even wait for the excess to come off my brush. I would tap it, and that's what I leave in my brush. If I were to do that, the beads would be extremely runny. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So if I hold this like this, so you can see there it's already turning, that kind of, the shine is coming to it. And you can see that monomer. I don't know if you saw it when I put this down, but you can almost see the monomer bleed out of it. So let me try a different acrylic. This one, I don't know if it's just this one, but this one we're gonna use is Russet Brown from Dream Nail Supply. I love Drea's acrylics. So this is kind of like a red brown. So let's go ahead, push it down, tap. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is a way better acrylic. So if I hold this like this, so that that monomer can drain down into the bristles. So did you see how the monomer actually, like, you could see it when I first touched that down? And this is about the size of beads that I normally like. So here, okay, you can see it starting to happen. You see how these ones are getting like that glistening look to it? That's that inhibition layer. So it looks like that, and it means it's still very, very, very wet. So if I were to take, by now, if I were to do this with a regular EMA monomer, these two would probably be set enough where I wouldn't be able to poke into them. But you can see here, like, those are still completely soft, right? That one, and that's the first one I did. This one, I can still, so, and it's been minutes now, probably at least 5 minutes. So that's just giving you an idea of how wet and unset those still are. So what, I'll time it once we put them on Hangela over here. So that's what we're gonna do next. I just wanted to kind of show you my process for it. Might be a little, I'm not good at explaining my powder or my liquid to powder ratio. I have a hard time explaining that. I can explain everything else, but for some reason this is difficult for me to explain. So I'm gonna put the lid on this for right now. So now you can see that inhibition kind of happening on this one. That's that shiny layer. So it'll go like that. And so you'll think, because you're seeing that shiny layer, if you see it on a nail, like a complete nail, it'll stay shiny. So you're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? You know, why does it still look wet? And that your hard layer is actually underneath that inhibition layer. So it will always look shiny like that. It doesn't kind of get matte like a regular EMA monomer does. So let me show you that now. So we're gonna use this one for our EMA monomer, and I'll use the Clawley's red. Also, if you have a problem with the smell, this is just kind of something I do. I always keep my dirty towels and stuff in like plastic containers with a lid. It really reduces the smell. So just something to keep in mind if you're working with the diaper genie. Works really good also, really, really good. So we're gonna switch our brushes. So I'm gonna do the same thing with this. I'm gonna move this over, or I guess I'll move it up right here. You can still see it. So this is our Odorless. It's red. It's a beautiful red. I do love applaud these acrylic. They have beautiful acrylic. Not happy with the way things went. Actually, I'm just gonna leave it flat because that's gonna be the easiest for you guys to see. When I ordered so I ordered a mystery box and then I ordered a whole collection from her because I liked the acrylic so much. But I was not happy with the way that one came. So, but really, really nice. Really, really nice monomer. I mean, polymer acrylic powders. So we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do the same way. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push less hard on the side of my dappen dish. So I'm still gonna, for a small bead, I'm going to start here at the ferrule and brush, but I'm applying less pressure when I push down, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna barely touch it. Let me see if I can get a good view for you guys here. So I'm gonna barely touch it. We'll get it re-wet. I'm gonna let the excess drip out. And I'm gonna touch it with that ferrule, and then I'm gonna barely take, so you can see, hopefully you can see that. Let me do it again. So let the excess kind of drip off, touch it at the ferrule, and then I'm gonna barely, and that's how I would do a small bead with that much monomer in my brush. But that's just because this is how I like it. So for a small bead, and I usually run my beads bigger with EMA monomer than I do if I were to use a odorless monomer. So, and that's how wet I'm gonna run my brush for a small bead. So same kind of concept, where for a small bead, I'm gonna go one and hold it for Mississippi, and then I'm gonna pull it up. So 1 Mississippi. So there's a small bead. Then you can see here, I don't have any dry parts around that. I know it doesn't look like the most perfect bead, but it'll work. So, and then for a medium, I'm gonna brush and push down again, or put my brush down, and then I'm gonna do that same thing. So from the halfway point on the side of my dish and pull just very, very gently. So now I'm gonna do 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, but pick up 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So that would be a medium bead for me. And you can see, again, no dry spots around that. And the longer I hold this, it's gonna start polymerizing. But I'm a person that I actually take, as soon as I pick my bead up, I lay it down on the nail because it starts polymerizing instantly. So you're losing time if you sit and hold it like this. You're losing working time. Okay, like see, so you can see that one already kind of started curing, or not curing, but you know, hardening. But if I go into my monomer, re-wet my brush, and I go over this, I'll still be able to move it wherever I want it. So let me start my beads over again because I just totally fucked that all up. But okay, so we're gonna do a small one. Mississippi. So here's a small one. Okay, small. Medium. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then large is what I normally work with. So large, most people, I make them cringe when I do a large bead. Also, I'm not cleaning my brush very well because my monomer is already getting dirty, but I will not even let the excess drip off of it and just tap it. And that's how much monomer I leave. And then I'm gonna go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So that is my bead right there. And then I'm gonna set it down. And because it's doing this because of the pigment, but as soon as you release that onto a nail, all of that's gonna kind of melt together. So if I get this wet, you can see, right? Same with this one. A good monomer and powder, you should be able to kind of continuously move it around if you get your bead wet, or I mean your brush wet. So small, medium, large. Looks messy as hell, but it is what it is. Normally, I would try and keep my monomer cleaner than that. And what I mean by that is that every time that I would pick up a bead, I would wipe. If I release it onto the nail, I'm gonna wipe my brush almost immediately and then re-wet my brush. So I'm wiping it to get the extra pigment that's on there off of it, because if I just release it and then go straight back into my monomer, I'm putting that back into my monomer. So that's how monomer gets cloudy, it gets dirty. Just wipe your brush a little bit more on your paper towel and then re-wet it. You'll have plenty of time, I promise. So you'll notice that with these ones, so you can see how this one right here, it's already that matte, it's not glossy like those ones up there, right? So this, you know, is already almost all the way set. And fun fact, did you know that the whole polymerization process actually takes about 24 to 48 hours? So if you go and get your nails done, or you do your nails and you wake up and like the next day, I don't know if anybody's ever paid attention to this or not, or if I'm just a weirdo for kind of looking at it like this. But if you ever wake up after you've done your nails, acrylic nails, and the next day they almost feel maybe a little bit tight or like a little stiff, and that's because that polymerization process has fully polymerized. So now it is completely done. Those chains have stopped forming. So they are actually stronger than when you first got them done. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing when I learned it. So now what I'm going to do is we'll do the Odorless swatch over here on beautiful Angela, my trusty dusty bestie here. And we will time that so that you can see how long it actually takes for it to polymerize. And then we will do one and time it with the EMA monomer so that you can see, just to kind of judge, you know, how long things take. And I think we're gonna stick with these two that we've been using. So we'll stick with the Dreas for the Odorless and the Qualies for this. I'm gonna move this to the side and I'll show you as soon as we get all done with this stuff. So we got Angela here. Everybody say hi to Angela. Angela Henderson in the building. So I'm just gonna swatch these two. So we're gonna swatch, actually let me get out a new table towel. So we're gonna swatch this first and I will show you how I would run this. I'm gonna use this brush for both. I'm gonna move this one out of the way. Make sure I got all that red pigment out of there. So I'm gonna do the same thing as I would with a regular EMA monomer. I'm gonna dip my brush and I'm gonna brush it over the whole entire nail. So that's just what I do. It also helps the acrylic stick better to the actual tip. So that's what I'm gonna do. And also, this is how I hold a hand, no matter if it's a real hand or not. I always kind of grasp the finger either ahead of the one that I'm working on or behind the one that I'm working on. It gives me more stability. So if you're working with like somebody, if you do nails on other people and they are stiff hand, This actually gives you more movement. You're able to control it more by having a grip on this finger and then using these 3 fingers to move however you need to. Because if you're just holding on to this, you're just going to be twisting this finger. The person's going to stay stiff. But for some reason, I found that if I grasp the finger that's before the one I'm working on, and I would do the same with this, but I would be working backwards. So say I started on the pinky, I would grasp this ring finger and hold my pinky so that I have both movement with the finger and movement with the hand. You know, that helps a lot with application, So when I'm done with the pinky, I would grab the middle finger and grasp that with these 2 fingers, and then I'm holding the finger I'm actually working on with my thumb, index, and middle finger so that I can twist this as I need, or I can make it bend down. If my acrylic's running, if I'm having a day or working with the product that's a little more runny, I can tilt it down and still move the hand also. So done with this one, I would grab the first finger, grasp it, nicely put this one down, and then I have movement with both the finger and the whole hand. So just a little something that we're going to be working with these 2. So let's start our timer. Where are we at? Timer. My phone is all dirty. Wipe that off. All right, so I'm going to start it when I apply the bead. So I'm going to do the whole thing. Actually, let me get this. I'm going to leave it flat so you can see. Again, getting the air bubbles out. I'm going to let, because it's odorless, I'm going to let that excess drip out. And then I'm going to just barely tap and go in. Whoops. Oh. Top watch. Okay. Oh, there's a big bead. And I'm going to set it down and start my timer. Okay, so I set it down and you can see it's not running anywhere. Okay, not running anywhere. I'm going to re-wet my brush and I'm going to pat both sides off and then also pat it onto my table towel and then start working with it. So if I need to, I'm going to fold those sides in and I'm going to push that back towards the cuticle, but not all the way, because I will go in with a separate cuticle bead. And you'll be surprised with how much I re-wet my brush. I re-wet my brush quite a bit. And I am also a patter, so I pat things into place. I know the tip is a different shape, but it's all right. Or how it fans out here, it's just because of the way I cut it to apply it on there. So, and I'm doing this, you see that's pigment from the color, that's not the actual acrylic. So here you can see we're a little runny, but not like to where it's running off of the nail. And then I also like the tips of nails to be very thin. It's like I've said before, I'm going to be adding product onto them, so I'm going to be stacking stuff on top of them. Okay, so they're going to get thicker. Once I get all the way to the tip, then what I do, re-wet my brush again, and then I wipe it. So I wiped it too much that time, but re-wet it, wipe it, and I'm going to start brushing this backwards because I don't want to waste it. I'm going to start brushing it back towards where I would want that apex to be. So I'm not brushing it off of the nail. I'm just kind of saving what I want. Oh, and because this isn't like an actual nail, I'm not worried about an apex right now. I'm just swatching it so you can see. And if it is a little bit too runny, wipe your brush and just go straight back in onto. Brush it back up. Because your acrylic should work where you're not having to do a whole ton of work once you get comfortable with it. Once you kind of know what you're doing, once you get to that point, then, you know. All right, so we're gonna time this. I'm gonna let this set. I'm not worried about doing like a whole, like, perfect nail. I just wanted to show this so that you can see. This is still gonna run. So if I leave it like this, because it takes so long to set, it's gonna start spreading off of the nail, just very ever so slowly. So I kind of have to wait for a couple of minutes to make sure that it doesn't. I can kind of keep moving it back into place, but like you can see there, that one, because that one edge right there, because of the way I was holding it, I want it to run like that. So here you can see my towel. I know it looks dirty, but really the only acrylic that's on there is this little spot right here. The rest of it just pigment from the powder. And then you can also see that my towel is not soaked in monomer. Okay, so like the majority of the monomer is right here. I try and wipe my brush kind of all over my table towel, not in the same spot, because if I'm doing that in the same spot, I'm just picking up what I put down. So I always try and find a clean spot to see. Even there's still pigment coming off my brush. So we're gonna let this set, and eventually you will see that it will not be as shiny as this. It's going to start getting a little less shiny. You'll see it, you'll see. So let me actually show you. Let's clean this off real good. I should get all of that sitting right in there. But let me show you these again. So you can see that they're still shiny, but they also have like almost like a gritty look to them, I guess is a good way to explain it. But let me see if we can still, we shouldn't by now be able to, no, so, well, they're still kind of not all the way set, but just to give you an idea, they're still not fully set. I wouldn't want to start filing on any nails that I had applied these to yet. The odorless monomer takes a lot longer than regular EMA monomer. So that's the only swatch I'm going to do, because I'm not going to file it. I will slough off the inhibition layer for you guys to see. I just kind of wanted to do, like I said, do this to give you an idea if you're working with it, not worried about these patchy spots. Like if I was doing somebody's nails, this would be completely different. This is just to give you an idea. So we're gonna let that set. We're gonna let Angela kind of sit there like the beauty queen she is. And we're gonna time this. So we're gonna wait and see how long it takes for it to start getting to where it looks more similar to this, with this, to that, like that matte, still shiny. Let me see if I can show you. Let's see here, this one, you can see it's actually sticking. Like that's how sticky it is because of that inhibition layer. So, oh yeah, it's still soft. So like I can hold that up on my glove like I'm not holding it. That's how tacky that is. So what I would, with of course with all nail products, wear gloves, but especially with the odorless monomer, please wear gloves. If you're using it, wear gloves. Just reduce your exposure to it, especially because you're the one that will be working with it, you know, all the time. So the less exposure you give yourself, the better. So we're gonna time this. I'll be back.
Like they said, they both say mid-20s and a light blonde hair, light brown hair. We got a mustache. Look what.
All right, guys, I don't know if you can see this or not, but up here where it's looking like a little more kind of grainy, that part is starting to set. So we're at right now 12 minutes and 9 seconds, just to give you an idea. But with your odorless monomer, as you're working, like so, this would be the left hand. I would start at the pinky. So pinky, ring finger, middle finger, first finger, index finger, your thumb, sorry. Choking on my own spit, Jesus Christ. So by the time that you're done through all 10 nails, come back and check your pinky, because by then your working time, you're going to be working a little slower with odorless monomers. So by then you should be able to come back and not have to wait too much longer, because I would say probably with your application, just learning 30 to 45 minutes for your application. And that's just being like realistic with it. It might take you a little bit longer. You might be, you know, a natural and be able to pick it up and just, you know, whiz through it. Even if you're not, that's okay. Learning, you know, do it at your own speed. But by the time you get back to the first finger that you started on, you should be able to start working on it relatively soon. So yeah, we're gonna wait a little longer, because this is an individual nail. It's gonna take a little bit longer. So you can see kind of in some areas down here, it started to set a little bit more, but see over here where it's still very, very shiny, none of that is ready.
103, 103 yeah, they have a white baseball cap on. Not at the time. Like they said, they both say mid-20s and a light blonde hair, light brown hair. We got a mustache. Look what.
Guys, so we're at about 20 minutes and it is set, if you can hear that. So now what we're gonna do is I'm going to take acetone and take, I'm just gonna do a paper towel, and get my acetone on here. And then I'm gonna take and just kind of wipe this inhibition layer off here. You're still gonna have to kind of slough off some stuff, but it's gonna be a lot less. You can also do the same thing with rubbing alcohol. So if I were to soak this in rubbing alcohol, right, go like this, it's gonna also help with that inhibition layer. You don't have to do both. I would do one or the other. Normally, I'll just do, well, but really it just depends, honestly. I'll do most of the time, because I have rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol right next to me, I usually just grab that. And then there you can see it looks a lot more matte, but you still have those shiny layers. So with this also, I wouldn't take a bit on an e-file because you're gonna gunk up your bits. So I'm gonna take a disposable e-file, their hand file. This one I've already used. And then I'm just gonna take and I'm just gonna slough. So you can see that stuff coming off there. I'm gonna slough that off. So you can see that's a perfect example. So you can see here that it's still like it's sticky and tacky. So you can see it coming off up here. That's all that inhibition layer. So you want to keep filing until all of that is gone and you can see the hardened product underneath of that. So that's so you got about 20 minutes for your odorless monomer. If your room is about 62 to 65 degrees, because I did turn off my AC in here. So now we're gonna go ahead and do, so 20 minutes and 81 seconds. Okay, so we're gonna reset this. And sorry, I was watching Shell's video. Oh, love you, Shells. All right, so same thing. I'm gonna start that as soon as I set my bead down. So I'm gonna push this finger down, and because it's the index finger, I don't really need to grab onto the thumb. That would almost make it kind of awkward for Angela, and we don't want to make anything awkward for Angela. So same thing. I'm gonna push this down, rock it back and forth, pick it up, and because it's my EMA monomer, I'm not going to wait for that excess to fall off or drip off of my brush. So this, pick it up, push it, and that's all of the monomer I'm gonna leave in there. So if you can see, she's good and wet. So same thing, I'm gonna go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So that's the bead that I'm gonna use. Okay, so I'm gonna push this to the nail, rock it and release it. And you can see it's not running, like there's no running anywhere. So I'm gonna re-wet my brush and I'm gonna fold those sides in. And I'm gonna start kind of patting it down to where I want it. I got too much liquid on my brush. I'm gonna wipe it off. So this one, far prefer a regular monomer. In my opinion, it's just so much easier to work with. And like I said 100 times, I'm a patter, so I pat my product into place. So I don't brush until I get to kind of the end of what I'm doing. And if I need it, if it starts setting and I need it to move a little bit more, I'm gonna re-wet my brush. So then I'm reintroducing monomer to the product. So now, same thing, I'm gonna check my sides, make sure I don't need to fold anything in. Re-wet my brush, wipe it off. Now from that free edge, I'm going to start brushing backwards. So I'm going to re-wet my brush and I'll tap off both sides, and then I'm going to start backwards brushing. So I'm going to brush, and this is the only time that I really brush into, and this is just how I've done it. And it's more to get that bulk off the tip of the nail. I'm brushing everything back towards where I want the apex to be. I love acrylic. So boom, one bead, okay? Beautiful, nice and shiny. And you'll see, oh, motherfucker, I forgot to start the timer. Shit. Well, we're gonna do it again. So we'll do it on, the thumb, even though it's a little bit longer. I can't believe I did that. Well, that was a good application right there. Some days it does not go that good. Some days I'm literally, we're looking like we just began. Oh. All right, so let me do this again. And I didn't. Look how dirty. Can you see how dirty that is? See how it's kind of tinged red? It's because I wasn't wiping my brush off before I was going into my monomer. So I'm not worried about this little bit thin right here at the tip. I'm not worried about that. So this is just for show. Oh, there's one bead, and I actually would go back in with a very small cuticle bead right here. Not very small, like for most people it'd probably be a medium bead, so that I can do the cuticle and also build the apex with that, and then I would brush that down. Maybe here soon I will do kind of an application video. If that's something that you guys are interested in seeing, let me know. Because I would definitely do that with both acrylics and polygel. I don't really mess around too much with hard gel anymore, so that one would probably be a disaster. But if you want to see that, I would definitely also do that. So definitely let me know. But so you can see here we are 4 minutes in, and you can already see kind of that matte kind of texture here on that whole side of the nail. How it's not shiny, it's that matte kind of thing. And just right over here on this side is the only shiny part left. So you can see all right there. So that's already starting to set. So, and we're at 4 minutes, almost 5. So like this one, yeah, like that one's already all the way set. Not at the tip. So up here it is. You hear the difference? Like this one kind of sounds hollow, or not hollow, but how would I say it? What word would that be? Anyway, you know what I'm, well, hopefully you know what I'm trying to say, but that sounds like it's hard. That does not. And then you can see here, the only spot that I actually have acrylic on my towel on this one is right here and right here. And then right there is a little tiny piece. The rest of it is just, oh, and little tiny bit right there. But the rest of it is just pigment from the acrylic itself. So, okay, so there you can see at 7 minutes we have no shine left on that whatsoever. So that's just one of the key differences is your time. Your set time is way different. So your working time you have less with an EMA monomer, and it sets way faster. So let's see here. No, that is completely set. So we are at 8. We're just gonna say 8 minutes and 23 seconds. So that's, you know, what, 12, well, we'll say 11 and a half minutes difference just in one nail. And then I also wanted to show you too. So say bye to Angela. She says, bye guys. Love you all, bye. So I also wanted to kind of show you my brush so you can see, like, if I spread this out, let me super zoom in. You can see I have like no grittiness, nothing in the bristles of my brush. So once you get your ratio down, like I always tried to give myself goals. So like when I was learning, I would be like, okay, I want to do this nail in 3 beads, right? Or I want to try and do these 5 nails and my monomer still be clear or not cloudy, you know, when I'm done. Or I want my brush to be completely dry, or not dry, but completely clean, you know, with nothing stuck in it. That always helped me kind of be a little bit more motivated to really try with, and it helped me. So maybe trying something like that will help you also. So I did want to just show you. So we're probably like what? So 20, 30, we'll say probably 50 minutes in, and you can still see like the shine on these. So they don't ever get that kind of just completely matte texture like the regular EMA monomer does. So like look at these ones right here. So like you see they're completely matte, right? And your beads don't ever have to look perfect. Like your swatches don't ever have to be perfect or anything like that. But here, I guess let me show you kind of side by side, or so you can see the difference. Like these are completely matte and these ones still have that shine to them. So these are sticky, like that's sticky. And so if you just go straight into filing that inhibition layer is gonna gunk the fuck out of your files or your bits, whatever you choose to use to get it off, it's gonna gunk it up. So clean it off before you do it, an important thing. So All right, there's that video, guys. Let me know what your favorite thing was, or if you learned anything, or if anything was helpful for you. Or if you have something you would like me to try, things that you do, certain processes you do, and I'd love to try them. I love learning new things. I'll link a couple of websites down in the description box also, for really good knowledge if you're like me and you really like learning about, you know, the things you love. So Nail Knowledge is one. There's a couple. I'll link down in the description box. So if you are interested in that information, go check it out. Check those websites out. There's pretty much anything you could think of that you would want to know about nails, chemical processes. All of that is on these websites. Absolutely great things to have and reference if you're just learning, or if you're, you know, kind of doing a refresher or whatever it is you're doing. So thank you for being here with me. I love and appreciate you. I can't say that enough. I really genuinely, each and every one of you, I am so grateful for you. So with that being said, in my last video, I did say that we would be doing a giveaway for this right here, this U-shaped hand rest. So let me know what your favorite thing was about in this video, and so I'll leave the comments open for a week. You must be subscribed as always. Please don't say anything about it being a giveaway in the comments. If you do, you're automatically disqualified. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate you guys. You are amazing MFers, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Oh yeah, Haley, you were sweating like a dog under them puppies. Wow.